Well, good afternoon, everyone. Ryan, thank you so much for introducing me. Folks, again, I'm off script already. Ryan's story really exemplifies everything that we're here for today. As he just told you, he was one of our first students. He graduated. He went on to work at UNBC as a recruiter, and I'm going to remind you, you're still a recruiter. Don't forget that. And he's actually been president of our Alumni Association as well. But I'm pleased to tell you that today, UNBC has announced that he will be the first UNBC graduate to serve as chair of our Board of Governors.
That caught me.
Yeah, that Well, before I continue, there are a few people I'd like to thank for all their efforts here around our anniversary year. Certainly first, Dr. Tracy Somerville, who chaired, yes, let's hear it. Tracy chaired the 25th Anniversary Steering Committee, and she's been just a rock-solid player through this entire process, and thank you for providing such extraordinary leadership. Also, I'd like to thank Kim Hayhurst, our 25th Anniversary Manager. Yes? Kim has lived and breathed everything 25 years for more than a year now. And of course, all the members of our 25th Anniversary Steering Committee, and certainly all of our students, faculty, and staff for contributing so much to this very special year. And to all of you, to all our friends, elders, dignitaries, everyone that's been here and has come here to join us today. Well, let me paint a picture for you, one that you know all very well. It was the late 1980s in northern British Columbia. The province is just coming off Expo 86, an event that saw British Columbia's profile amplified around the entire world. The province was emboldened by the notions of a future in technology, culture, economics. It was an exciting time. And to realize all those visions, a university education was being touted as the fast track to the future. It was the path of choice for youngsters finishing high school. But at the same time, the North was bleeding talent. To get a university education, the future nurses, social workers, engineers, accountants, and on and on and on are putting the North in their rearview mirror, and they're traveling down Highway 97 to go to UBC, Simon Fraser, or the University of Victoria. Others are actually moving out of the province. They're even looking at international options. In short, they're just not staying here. But in January 1987, a new idea for northern British Columbia began to take hold. Three local residents, Tom Stedman, Charles McCaffrey, and Bryson Stone, they're chatting about the idea of a northern university. By the fall of 1987, and about a half a dozen meetings later, it's clear that there's some enthusiasm around this idea of a full university in the north, and it's gathering steam. On December 1st, 1987, the Interior University Societies Incorporated. It's chaired by a key founder such as Murray Stadler, Elsie Jurdis, and Roy Stewart. By 1988, important early support comes from Bruce Strachan, MLA for Prince George South and Minister of State for the Cariboo region. And by October, an IUS delegation to Victoria presented the government with a number of important things. First, the petition, signed by 16,000 people who paid $5 to do so. Letters of support from every town, village, city, regional district, hospital board, dog catcher, Chamber of Commerce in northern BC. There was also an Angus Reid survey that indicated that 94% of Northerners were in favor of creating a university. And a Delhoff report indicating the feasibility, credibility, and value of such a university. By 1989, Northerners were starting to feel pretty good about this idea of chances of getting a Northern university. And in April 1989, Advanced Education, Training and Technology Minister Stan Hagen appointed the Implementation Planning Group, the IPG, chaired by our friend Horst Sander, to advise him on what type of institution would be best for the North. However, as usual, that summer, doubts began to creep in about whether there was enough political will to really create a university in northern BC. And just as about the time these doubts are starting to take hold, the minister is quoted in the Globe and Mail on October 2nd. Quote, "In the interior, people don't think of an education beyond grade 12. The questions they ask at the end of the day is, how many trees did you cut? How are things going down in the mine?" Well, that quote generated 3,000 letters of protest to the government. And a month later, Bill Vander Zalm, Premier, announces Bruce Strachan, the local MLA and a clear advocate for the university, is to be the new Minister of Advanced Education. By January, the government accepts the IPG recommendation that a university is to be established, and on June 22nd, the legislature passes Bill 40, the UNBC Act, with all party support. We know the history from that point on. You know it very, very well. There was a rapid construction of the Prince George campus. The Queen visited to open it. The first classes were launched, and we had our first convocations. We had a growth of an exceptional, vibrant faculty, providing outstanding teaching, world-class research, and quickly building this university's reputation. Not too shortly thereafter, the healthcare rally in 2000 that eventually leads to the development of the Northern Medical Program. Then the opening of the Charles Jago Northern Sports Center and the completion of the innovative bioenergy plant. Now, many things have happened in that interim, but today, the landscape has changed significantly. Today, the post-secondary world brings many new challenges each and every day. It's a very crowded space. There are fewer homegrown students, and a number of factors are impacting on our enrollment. Now, the good news is UNBC attracts more than 80% of School District 57 graduates that are bound for a BC research university. But the bad news is that in 2000 and 2001, there were about 18,000 students in School District 57. In the fall of 2013, just shy of 13,000. And it's the same issue across the north. There were almost 63,000 K-12 students in 1996-97. That number has dropped roughly to 41,000 in 2013-14. Roughly 2/3 of our students come from northern BC, 2/3 of a rapidly shrinking pie. Now, there's also more choice. The number of undergraduate degree granting institutions in BC has increased substantially, from 14 in 1996-97 to 24 in 2012-2013. So as a consequence, UNBC has seen a drop in the number of students from southern BC that come here from almost 1,100 in 1996-97 to just over 600 in 2012-2013. Now, of course, we're doing many, many things to increase our enrollment. We have a number of initiatives. We're targeting markets now that may be representing students that are more likely to come here. For example, Calgary is actually a very, very attractive market for us. We have a new web portal and other technology aids that are helping us to interact with potential students. It provides us with great data and follow-up communication, and we're able to track and engage our students much more effectively through the recruitment process. Other initiatives are also proving to be very beneficial. Our Canada Games tuition waiver was very successful. We already have 10 participants registered for September, and we have another 6 applications in the queue. Now, we expect this actual program to pay out over many, many years, as in fact a number of the students that were here, potential students that were here during the games, are still in junior grades in high school. And our scholarship opportunities here are significant. In 2013-14, we provided nearly 1,100 awards to students worth more than $2.5 million. So we're pursuing these things vigorously. We're also pursuing growth in international education. Our student numbers have increased by about 370%, our international numbers, over the past decade, and they make up now 11% of our student body. But all of these things, I'm telling you, are not enough. They're not enough. We must continue to tell people why universities matter and why this university matters. Now, last year, the Research Universities Council of BC investigated the outcomes of the class of 2008. And their findings illustrate a number of very important bits of information for the value of a university degree. Graduates from that cohort had a 4.7% unemployment rate, 1.9% points lower than the BC unemployment rate of 6.6. and more than 2.5 times better than the unemployment rate of young British Columbians who did not go to university. The average income of that cohort was $60,000 per year, up from that same cohort's average of $48,000 in 2010. And 96% were working in jobs that require a post-secondary degree. They're not working as baristas, and if they are, they own the cafe. We know that in today's environment, where jobs are the rallying cry, our graduates have them, and they have jobs that are shaping the future of our region. In fact, some 69% of our graduates are working in management or executive level jobs. We know that UNBC is a leader. Every year, in fact, the government of BC reaches out to university baccalaureate graduates 2 years after they have graduated from a BC university. Now, this survey asks many things related to the satisfaction of the programs they were in, their current place of residency, skill acquisition, employment status, salary, etc., etc. Now, among the class of 2012, there were 121 UNBC grads in the North. That represented nearly 2/3 of UNBC's survey respondents of that year's class. Among the class of 2012, for the entire the entire BC system, there were 251 grads in the North, including the 121 from UNBC. So by far, UNBC produces more grads in the North than any other university, and in fact, for the past few years, we've produced more grads in the North than all of the other BC universities combined. So ask yourself, why doesn't UBC, which is more than 10 times larger than UNBC, produce more grads in the North? We need their engineering students, their forestry students, their medical students, dental, law, nursing, planning, political science. We need them all up here in the North. Minister Bond will tell you how much we need them. Take that UBC class of 2012, for example. Even with all the scientific and technical programs they have at UBC, many of which we don't even offer here at UNBC, only 36 UBC grads were in the North after 2 years. 36. That's from a survey cohort of more than 6,500. So why is that the case? It's because place matters. You've heard it from everyone that's spoken here today. Where we are matters. We matter. We know that if we educate them here, they will stay here. We recently completed our first ever alumni survey with more than 1,500 of our alumni filling it out from all across Canada. Now, one of the things that had emerged in that survey is that the North is retaining about 3/4 of the Northerners who go to UNBC, and nearly 40% of the non-Northerners who attend and graduate from UNBC. They stay in the North. In fact, we're seeing that retention in the North growing over time. The story is simple. If we can get them here, we can keep them here. Now, I've mentioned the value I place on leadership several times, not only today, but throughout many speeches I've made. Another key value for me is excellence. Our number 2 ranking in Maclean's last year is clear evidence of that excellence. Students, faculty, and staff at UNBC are doing very inspiring things. Our research is incredibly strong. Take the work of the Cornell River Research Center, led by our UNBC scientists Ellen Pettigrew, Phil Owens, Sam Albers, Stephen Dre, and Nicholas Ganter. Their research into the impact of the Mount Polley mine tailings pond breach will provide valuable data for industry developments around the world for decades to come. This is incredibly important work. Our students are excelling in numerous competitions, leading the way on philanthropic endeavors and community service initiatives. And now we have nearly 12,000 alumni who are helping shape Northern BC like never before. Leaders are emerging from this group, leaders like Ryan, shaping the educational, social, cultural, and economic fabric of our region and our province. And our donors continue to invest in the vision that is UNBC, a vision that was created again by 16,000 of you a quarter century ago. As we transition into our next quarter century of operations, it's critical that the people of Northern British Columbia continue to support the mission of UNBC to help improve the quality of life for our region, our province, and the world. We have an open door culture here. Small class sizes, experiential learning opportunities, tremendous facilities and campuses, not to mention our regional offerings, which deliver on the vision of UNBC as a truly regional university. For example, I was just recently in Quesnel, and I attended UNBC 101. It's an open house that invites local high school students to attend a day of classes and presentations in a university setting. I was so thoroughly impressed by the event, and it provided me a great opportunity to talk to future UNBC students about what they value about our campus and what they want to see here. That event was driven by our staff and our faculty, and it demonstrated just how committed we are to our regional operations. On Convocation Day here in Prince George, I witnessed firsthand the excitement of the day, not just in our graduates, but in our faculty and staff. And it's so encouraging to see, of all the people in this room, that the largest stakeholder group in attendance is our own faculty and staff. Thank you very much. Over the past 25 years, you have committed countless hours to UNBC. And indeed, while the 16,000 that we honor here demanded the creation of UNBC, you were the ones that were tasked with making it real, to make it happen. And those tasks are incredibly varied. There's so much work to be done here over the academic year. Long hours spent developing class outlines and teaching materials and grading papers and submitting marks. Late nights working on students on their research projects and thesis development, and on and on. Long hours on the road recruiting students. And I know firsthand the days that our staff spend shoveling snow and sanding the icy walks. I can't go through every job that's been done over the past 25 years because it would take me to the 50th anniversary to tell you all. But what I can do is simply say thank you. Thank you to all our employees very much from me. But that thanks comes with an important caveat. There's still much, much more to be done. Not just by our employees, but all of us in this room. We must now turn our thoughts to the future. And what will our preferred future look like? We must differentiate ourselves through leadership and excellence. But I believe we can do that because we have a rock-solid foundation to build on that was created in this first 25 years. But going forward is going to require innovation, expertise, entrepreneurship, strategic thinking, planning, and most importantly, execution. We have to do and act on what we say we're going to do. Now, I've had the opportunity to get to know many of you over the past several months. Many of you have been in our home. We've talked much about our preferred future. And through those conversations, you've helped me see a path forward for this university that is really built around the themes of resiliency, connectivity, and confidence. We must become a resilient university. We must further strengthen our relevant programs. We must be fiscally sound, and we must retain our excellent faculty. If we do these things, we can weather any storm because we are resilient. We must have confidence in our institution, both internally and externally. Internal confidence. The campus must be confident that its leadership is leading well. The external community must have the confidence that we indeed are delivering on the promise that we made when we created UNBC. And we must be connected. We talk so much about being a university in the North and for the North, and we are, and we will continue to work on being even more so. But I must tell you, folks, this is a difficult balance to create in a world that demands we also be global. If we put our head down and only think north, we will not succeed. We have to raise our eyes up and think about what it means to be northern in a global community. Now, I have a number of initiatives that I've been working on, and I'm keen to share a few of those with you today that I hope will resonate around those themes. First, this is going to seem rather odd, I think, to you, but after everything we just talked about, all the previous speakers, so clearly expressing who we are and what this place means, I think we need to continue the dialogue about who we are and what this university must be as it moves forward. It is a very crowded post-secondary world, as I spoke earlier. Everything in a crowded world begins to look like vanilla. But we're by no means at UNBC vanilla. We have to ensure that people understand that. And standing out depends on our connectedness with Prince George, the city of Prince George, Northern BC, Canada, and the world. Now, I'm strongly and deeply committed to connecting with communities because I believe that's where our future lies. But make no mistake, I believe that striving to be Canada's green university is good business, and we will continue to do so. It makes sense. Sustainability is becoming more and more accepted and in our society, as it should be. But we must go much, much further than just talking about being green. We have to shape a new perspective that it really embodies what that means so that we can influence how people identify and connect with us. Over the next year, we will engage in a dialogue just about that. Who are we? Who do we want to be over the next 25 years? When I think about our confidence and resilience of this institution, it comes, and I've learned this very, very directly over the past number of months, and that concerns our university operations, both business and academic. We've made significant progress this year, optimizing university operations and trying to get us set up to become an organization that is nimble enough to adapt to change, but yet well equipped to embark in new directions. We've committed to changing how we plan, how we budget, and making positive steps forward with an integrated planning structure. These are steps that I feel we needed in order to become a more resilient university, and a university in which the community will have continued confidence in us. Getting this right is absolutely fundamental to moving forward. Once we get transitioned to a new operational model, I'll be able to direct my focus to the work that you should expect of me. Student recruitment, fundraising, enhancement of UNBC's national and international exposure and connectedness to communities and the world. Let me speak a little bit more about integrated planning. Indeed, it's such a powerful connection to the resilience and confidence of our institution. Over the past few months, we've made an absolute commitment to be an integrated academic and budget planning process here. The need for this is so clear as I work through this year's budget. But with the leadership of our provost and our Senate, we must evolve as an institution in order to develop future budgets that serve our academic and research endeavors while meeting our operational needs. To do so, we are developing a university planning team that is integrated that will foster this evolution. This team will combine academic planning, administrative planning, finance, and the budget with an integrated budget planning perspective. It is critical that UNBC become the academic and administration teams that work together to develop an integrated planning framework. And I think we've taken a good first step, but this must be where we go. To really capture the resilience, confidence, and connectedness of our institution, we must also commit much more strongly to philanthropy. This anniversary marks a recollection and celebration of UNBC's unique and unprecedented history and a beginning of our next generation. And the path ahead is really paved with opportunities that are created by the leadership and highly regarded, award-winning, and research of intensive university that we have become. Fundraising develops our prestige, our engagement with alumni. It helps us advance priorities that will help us achieve excellence, and it moves us beyond just being regional and publicly funded into a university of relevance around the world. This fall, you will hear much more about my plans for a UNBC fundraising campaign. The institution's priorities will be informed by consultation, and that will drive our campaign. The goal will be to raise funds for student support, as well as research and academic programs. And it will provide an opportunity for us to raise our profile, and most importantly, it will help us build our capacity for greater fundraising in the future. This must be part of our way forward. I want to turn now to another important issue of connectedness and resilience. The conversation around First Nations has shifted dramatically in this country over the past few weeks. And as I've stated before, and others have also stated, UNBC's relationship with First Nations around the North is paramount to our continued success. Today, I'm announcing that UNBC will create a new position designed specifically to focus our efforts and enhance our engagement of First Nations, a senior advisor to the President on First Nations and Aboriginal communities. This signals the importance that I place on this going forward. Indeed, when I talk about resilience, one need look no further than the First Nations communities across the North. They have been here for thousands of years. We're struggling with a few challenges that have accumulated over 25 years. We would do well to seek out their wisdom in helping us move forward. And we will. When I first arrived on campus, you won't be surprised to hear I heard a lot of rumors. Yeah. One that was most interesting to me was there was a rumor that I was brought in to turn us into a teaching university. This was puzzling to me since I had recently served the post as Vice President of Research at another university. But let me be perfectly clear. We will be and must maintain our position as one of Canada's great research-intensive universities. Now, to do so, one initiative I'm interested in is to try and look at chaired positions, which are very common in research universities and help raise the profile and research intensiveness of those universities. I plan to look at chaired positions somewhat differently. I intend to seek greater research support for our faculty through philanthropy, and I see the creation of research professorships as a powerful way to ensure the future of UNBC as a research-intensive university. The idea is that we should be funding our activities of our great researchers that we have here, helping fund their activities. And I'm telling you today that I pledge over the next 18 months I will create at least one new research professorship, and we'll draw up plans for several additional research professorships for our existing faculty. To ensure our connectedness on issues that are relevant to the country, I plan to launch a Leaders in Residence program that will ensure that UNBC is connected to the most important conversations affecting the post-secondary sector in Canada. The idea will be to invite individuals from across Canada to spend some time on one or more of our campuses and to lead conversations relevant to UNBC in the North. They will be accessible to our students, help support our programs, and generally raise the level of discourse amongst UNBC researchers and the Canadian public. I also want to move that into our students as well. One thing that I've really wanted to do, and I have to tell you, this is an incredibly rewarding position, president of a university, believe me, and president of this university is incredibly rewarding. But I have to tell you that I miss being in the classroom. And something I've always wanted to do, and I've never been quite in the right place to do it, is really connect to our students as the president through a program that I'm going to call the Student Ambassador Program. I really value the relationships I created with many of our student leaders, and I want to see more student leaders involved in this type of a program. The program would help develop student leadership through providing very specialized training, media training, various other kinds of things for our student leaders, and I will pledge to work with them directly to develop their leadership skills. I see these young students as the kinds of people that we want to give the tours to our visiting dignitaries, to whenever we have somebody from industry on campus. These would be the people that would answer the questions in the same way that our alumni do. We're preparing these young people to be the alumni of the future. In fact, I think I need you, Samantha, probably to do a good chunk of those. I think that would be good. Next, I want to talk about another initiative that really is, as much as it is something I believe in terms of taking our institution forward, it's really a very pragmatic idea. The university has so many initiatives ahead of us that require very focused attention. And many of the important activities that relate to the academic and research future of our institution really require the input of our faculty. But how do we fit this in to the already busy lives of a typical faculty member doing their teaching, research, and service? So I'm keen to start what I'm calling a Faculty Administrative Fellowship Program. Each year, we will identify 4 or 5 things that we might like to pursue as an institution. Pursue an idea. We'll put out a call of expression of interest from faculty that might want to develop that idea and have a portion of their time seconded to do so. Not only will this expand our capacity to move the institution forward in a very quick and timely fashion, it will ensure broad engagement and transparency around the initiatives that we decide to move forward. They will be driven by our faculty. Now, I've shared just a few of the initiatives that I'm working on with you today, and I've used this opportunity of the 25th anniversary to start a conversation about the future. But before I do leave on this theme, I do want to look back again one more time. There are many examples here of people who have and will provide exceptional service to UNBC. Many of them are in this room right here. And from time to time, it's important that we stop to provide meaningful recognition of such contributions. Recently, a number of founding faculty and supporters have contacted me with the suggestion that our first 25 years cannot pass without appropriately recognizing one of UNBC's original academic leaders. And their suggestion is more than compelling. And as a consequence, I'm announcing today that this fall, I will be bringing forward a proposal to the Senate Committee and subsequently to the Board of Governors that UNBC name one of its significant bricks and mortar assets in honor of Charles McCaffrey. Now, there was only one Charles McCaffrey, but each of us here, if each of us takes a leadership role in what we do, the future of UNBC is assured. Now, if you were at any of the convocation ceremonies, you've already heard this story, and you know I don't make it through it without tearing up, but I'll do my best today. But the story is just too powerful not to tell one more time. It's a story that demonstrates how the actions we take today can make such a huge difference in our future. Just this past January, UNBC received a letter in the mail from Tillamook, Oregon. Inside that letter were 3 items. The first 2 items were a letter and an old news clipping from the Prince George Citizen that showed a couple being recognized as Prince George's Visitors of the Week. In fact, one of the prizes at that time was lunch at KFC. The visitors were Miriam Wolfe and her brother Earl Johnson. They were on their way from Oregon to Alaska and had stopped in Prince George for lunch. And while taking a break from that very long drive, the two were, according to their letter, were accosted by a group of young people screaming, "Only $5, only $5, please, only $5. They were, of course, referring to the public campaign that created UNBC and called upon the government to create a university in the North. This was a large number of people taking a significant leadership position. All of those 16,000 people knew that by investing in the present needs of the region and investing in something that would stand the test of time and deliver results for Northern BC for decades to come. Now, sadly, Earl passed away 6 months ago, the day that Miriam received our most recent issue of Update magazine. Now, what was the third item in that envelope? It was a check for $25,000. That we create scholarships in Earl's name. A seed that was planted 25 years ago by the people in this room today bears fruit. That story so perfectly tells us that the future depends on what each one of us is willing to do today. We all have a leading role to play here in the future of UNBC. I hope that future excites you as much as it does me. I am so thrilled to be here. Thank you very much for listening.